Have you ever told your cat something you have never told another person? Not because you couldn't find the words, but because your cat was the only one you actually trusted enough to hear it. Most people assume that people who prefer their cat over most humans are just shy, or private, or maybe a little antisocial. But psychology tells a completely different story, and it doesn't start with a personality type. It starts with a wound, one that most people who love their cats this deeply have never fully put into words. If you have been going to your cat in the moments when you couldn't go to a person, without really understanding why, you have been missing the most important thing your cat relationship is trying to tell you about yourself. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 psychological truths about why people who have been hurt by other humans find such deep, specific safety in cats. These are backed by real science, and they are specific enough that you will recognize yourself in every single one. And stay with me to the very end, because the last truth is the one most people in this situation have completely misunderstood about themselves. And once you hear it, it will change how you see yourself, not just how you see your cat. Let's start at the very beginning. Think about a time when someone you depended on hurt you. Not a stranger, someone you trusted, someone who was supposed to be safe. And after that, something shifted. Being close to people stopped feeling warm. It started feeling risky. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, you found yourself sitting on the floor with your cat, and something inside you finally relaxed. You probably told yourself it's just because cats are simpler, less complicated than people. But stop for just a second. There's a researcher named Dr. Jennifer Freyd at the University of Oregon who studied what happens to people when someone they depended on is the one who hurts them. She called it betrayal trauma. And here's the key thing. It's not just the pain that causes the damage. It's the fact that the person who hurt you was someone you needed. That's what makes it traumatic. And once your brain goes through that experience, it does something actually very smart. It starts treating closeness itself as a warning sign, not because something is wrong with you, but because your brain is trying to make sure it never happens again. So when you say, "I just prefer my cat to most people," what's actually happening is your brain's safety system is doing exactly what it was trained to do. It learned that getting close to people leads to getting hurt. So it quietly started steering you towards something that felt safer. Your cat didn't end up in your life by accident. Your nervous system chose them. Someone once shared that they used to think they were just a cat person. But when they started understanding what betrayal trauma actually does to a person, they realized something. They had been looking for in their cat what they stopped believing humans could give them. Someone who would stay without making it hurt. Once they named that, the shame went away. The love didn't. It only grew deeper. So the next time you feel that specific kind of ease with your cat, the ease you rarely feel with people anymore, don't brush it off. Ask yourself, what happened that made this kind of ease feel so rare? That question isn't there to hurt you. It's the beginning of something real. Now think about the last time you sat with your cat and felt completely safe. No performance. No carefully picking your words. No trying to figure out what someone actually meant. Just you and this small creature who wanted nothing from you except exactly what you were already giving. You probably think of it as cats just being simpler, less demanding. But here's what's actually going on. When people talk to each other, there's always a layer of managing how we come across. That's just normal social life for most people. But for someone who has been hurt by words specifically, someone who was lied to, manipulated, or had their reality constantly denied, the fact that a cat cannot use words becomes the entire point. Your cat cannot build a false story. Your cat cannot tell you everything is fine and then blame you for believing them. Your cat cannot say something cruel and then pretend they never said it. A study published in a journal called Anthrosos found that people who had experienced betrayal in close relationships reported feeling significantly more comfortable around animals, specifically because animals removed the unpredictability of language that had become connected to danger in their minds. What you call "I feel safer with my cat than with most people" is actually this: I feel safer in a relationship where words cannot be used against me. That is not a quirk. That is a very intelligent response to what you went through. Someone shared that after leaving a relationship where they were constantly made to feel like their own feelings weren't real, they found themselves talking to their cat for hours. Not because they expected an answer, but because for the first time in a long time, they were somewhere that no one could tell them that what they felt wasn't true. And slowly, that helped them start trusting their own mind again. Pay attention to the silence between you and your cat. It has a quality to it. A quality that certain past relationships made feel completely impossible. When you sit there, notice what you are actually resting in. It will show you exactly what was taken from you and what you have been quietly rebuilding. Here is something that most cat owners feel, but never have the words for. When things get really hard, when the anxiety spikes, or a memory comes up, or a wave of sadness hits, there is something about your cat being nearby, or on your chest, or just within reach that changes something inside you. Not just emotionally. Physically. Something in your body actually shifts. You've probably told yourself it's just comfort. Sweet, but not really significant in any real scientific way. This is where it gets genuinely extraordinary. A scientist named Dr. Stephen Porges developed a theory about how the human nervous system works, specifically in people who have been through repeated stress or trauma. Here's the simple version. When someone goes through painful experiences again and again, their nervous system gets stuck in a kind of high alert mode. Always scanning, always bracing, even when there's nothing actually wrong in the room. This is the biology behind anxiety, behind the inability to relax around other people, behind feeling on edge even when you're supposedly safe. It is not a flaw in your personality, it is your body doing its best to protect you after it learned that danger was real. Now, a cat's purr happens at a sound frequency between 25 and 50 Shh. Researchers found that sound in that specific range lowers the stress hormone cortisol, raises serotonin, and activates the part of your nervous system responsible for rest and calm, the part that trauma and betrayal had been quietly shutting down. In simple terms, your cat's purr is reaching a part of you that human words, after enough hurt, can no longer reach. It goes straight to your body. It bypasses every wall you built, and it tells your nervous system at a biological level that you are safe. You are not just being comforted by your cat, you are being physically calmed by them in a way that nothing else in your life may currently be able to do. Someone once described lying on the bathroom floor in the middle of a panic attack, completely unreachable. No words were helping, and then their cat walked in, lay down on their chest, and started purring. Within a few minutes, they could breathe again. That is not just a sweet story. That is real science happening in real time. So the next time your cat comes to you before you've said a word, before you've shown any obvious sign that something is wrong, understand what's actually happening. They are responding to a physical signal your body is sending out, and what they give back is one of the only things that can reach the part of you that people, at their worst, damaged. That is not a small thing. That is something remarkable. Before we go further, I want to ask you something directly. Has your cat ever been there for you during one of the hardest moments of your life? A moment when no words from another person could reach you? But they could? Share it in the comments if you're comfortable. These stories matter more than you know. They remind everyone here that what they have with their cat is not silly. It is not too much. It is real. Now the next truth is one I almost didn't include, because it is that specific. But it is also the one our community said hit them the hardest. Think about how your relationship with your cat actually began. They didn't demand anything from you right away. They didn't ask you to open up before you were ready. They just showed up. They waited. They let you set the pace. And slowly, without any agreement, without any big conversation, without anyone getting hurt, something built between you that you hadn't built with a person in a very long time. You probably think that's just how cats are, slow to warm up, on their own terms. But researchers at the University of Lincoln found something fascinating. Cats naturally adjust how close they come to a person based on the emotional signals that person is putting out. They don't push past your limits. They don't make you feel guilty for needing space. And over time, what that creates is something attachment researchers call a graduated trust experience, which just means this: small, consistent, safe moments of closeness, one at a time, that slowly teach a nervous system that being close doesn't have to be dangerous. For someone whose trust was broken in a big way, whether all at once or slowly over years, the idea of trusting again can feel genuinely impossible, not because they don't want to, but because everything they learned told them that opening up leads to pain. What your cat has been doing, without knowing it, is running the slowest, most patient trust rebuilding program imaginable. Every time they come to you without taking anything from you, every time they stay without making you feel trapped, every time they leave without punishing you for it, your nervous system quietly learns something new. Closeness can be safe. Presence doesn't have to cost you everything. One person shared that after a painful relationship ended, they didn't let anyone physically close to them for nearly 2 years. Their cat was the first living thing they allowed to sleep against them again. At the time, they didn't think much of it. But looking back, they realized their cat had spent months, slowly, patiently, without any pressure, earning something that felt impossible to give. And they gave it, without even noticing it was happening. Notice the small moments when your cat earns your trust. They don't feel like big moments, but they are. Your nervous system is learning again that being close to something doesn't have to end in hurt. That is not nothing. That is everything. And now, the one that matters most. The one I need you to really stay with. You may have been told by other people or by a quiet voice inside your own head that the depth of your love for your cat is a sign that you've given up on people, that you've retreated into something smaller, that what you have with your cat is a second best option for someone who couldn't make the human stuff work. You may have even noticed that you feel more for your cat than you feel capable of feeling for most people right now, and in your most private moments, wondered if that means something is broken in you. I want you to hear this clearly. That thought is wrong, and psychology proves it. John Bowlby, one of the most important researchers in the history of human bonding, found something that changes everything here. A safe, consistent relationship, one where you feel genuinely secure, doesn't make a person less capable of loving others. It restores that capability. Another psychologist named D.W. Winnicott described what he called a transitional relationship, a source of safety that carries a person from a place of isolation back toward the ability to connect again. Your cat is not your final destination. Your cat is your bridge. The love you have poured into your cat, that full, unguarded, unconditional love, is not love you used up. It is not love you ran out of for humans. It is love you kept alive when humans made it feel too dangerous to give. Your cat did not make your heart smaller. Your cat has been keeping it open. A woman once shared something that has stayed with me. She said, "I used to think that loving my cat this much meant I was done with people. Then I realized I have spent years learning how to love something without keeping score, without conditions, without resentment. I didn't learn that from the relationship that broke me. My cat taught me that, and now I know I'm still capable of it." That is not a small realization. That is a complete change in how you see yourself. So the next time you feel the depth of what you have with your cat and a small voice wonders if it means you've given up, answer it with this instead. You have not given up on love. You have been practicing it in the safest place you could find. And practice, quiet, consistent, daily practice, is how every one of us finds our way back. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." What this video has really been about, underneath all of it, is not cats. It is you. It is what you survived. It is the intelligence of a mind and body that found safety when it needed it most. It is a heart that kept loving when loving felt like the most dangerous thing it could possibly do. You didn't just find a cat. You found something that could hold the part of you that people had made feel too fragile to hold. And without fully realizing it, your cat kept you ready. Ready for trust, ready for connection, ready for the kind of love you always deserved, but stopped believing you were allowed to ask for. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not someone who gave up. You are someone who found a way to keep going, and your cat has known that about you from the very beginning.